Hello, good evening. It's our pleasure to welcome you to this week's edition of BoI Impact. I am Hadiza, Olaosebikan. Last week was full of activities for the management of the Bank of Industry and its domestic development partners. First was the commissioning of the BoI donated state-of-the-art high-performance liquid chromatography HPLC laboratory instrument to the NAFDAC Central Drug Control Laboratory in Yaba, Lagos. The instrument commissioning is part of the Memorandum of Understanding BoI signed with the agency to fast-track NAFDAC's registration of MSMEs in the food and drug production sectors. The following day in Abuja, the bank also signed another Memorandum of Understanding with the Office of the Senior Special Advisor to the President on Foreign Affairs and Diaspora. You may be wondering BoI and Diaspora? Stay tuned to the program as we bring you the details. And lastly is the Bank of Industry's 57th Annual General Meeting that also took place in Abuja. The AGM had in attendance all the relevant stakeholders of the bank that include the Central Bank of Nigeria CBN, Ministry of Finance Incorporated MOFI, the Honorable Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment represented by his Special Advisor, Mr. Femi Edun, the management of the Bank of Industry led by its Acting Managing Director, Mr. Wahid Olagunju, other relevant stakeholders. We start with the last as we open with a highlight of the AGM. See you on the other side. The 57th Annual General Meeting of the Bank of Industry was chaired by the Honorable Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Okechukwu Enelama, who was represented by his Special Advisor, Mr. Femi Edun. He commended BoI for its highly impressive achievements during the 2016 financial year.
In the year under review, the bank disbursed 65.9 billion naira to 737 micro, small, medium, and large enterprises, which helped to create over 500,000 direct and indirect jobs. I am delighted that the bank has also been gaining significant traction in the implementation of the government enterprise and empowerment program that is being rolled out in all the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory. BoI's support for the federal government's Empower program, under which jobs are being created for 500,000 youth in agricultural and health sectors, as well as the teaching profession, is another highly commendable manifestation of the bank's contribution to ongoing efforts at diversifying and reviving the national economy. Apart from developing youth-centric products such as the Youth Entrepreneurship Support Program, ESP, and the Graduate Entrepreneurship Fund, GEF, that have both provided platforms for our teeming youth population to become successful entrepreneurs. The bank also sponsored, among other initiatives, capacity building programs in tomato processing and gemstone development for over 1,000 youth across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. It is highly commendable that while several corporate institutions in the country experienced a downgrade in their credit ratings in the year, the Bank of Industry got a reaffirmation of its AA+ national credit rating, accompanied by a stable outlook by Fitch Ratings, a world-class credit rating agency. Moody's, another international rating agency, also assigned AA1 NG1 rating, the second highest of 3 national scale rating categories to the bank. Augusto, the foremost Nigerian rating agency, similarly upgraded the bank's domestic rating of A+ to AA- in 2016. This is a testament to the strong corporate governance and enterprise risk management practices that the bank has integrated into its operations. As we look ahead with great optimism towards the expectation that the national economy will come out of recession in 2017, I have a strong conviction that the Bank of Industry will continue to leverage its experience and resources to keep making significant positive impact in the society. At this point, I would like to thank all of the bank's shareholders and stakeholders for their unflinching support and loyalty. To the management and entire staff of the Bank of Industry, I appreciate and commend your passion, commitment, and resilience as you forge ahead in pursuit of its mandate of transforming the nation's industrial sector, as well as support for the economic agenda of the federal and many state governments. Please rest assured of our ministry's continued support, as well as that of the federal government as a whole for the Bank of Industry.
We have audited the accompanying consolidated and separate financial statements of Bank of Industry Limited, the bank, and its subsidiaries, together referred to as the group. The group has kept proper books of accounts so far as appears from my examination of those books. The group and company's financial position and the statements of profit and loss and other comprehensive income are in agreement with the books of account and returns. The bank has complied with the requirements of the relevant circulars issued by the Central Bank of Nigeria. No contravention of the Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act 2004 by the group came to our knowledge during the year ended 31st December 2016.
The retiring auditors, Messrs. Akintola Williams Deloitte, Chartered Accountants, being eligible, have expressed their willingness to be reappointed. I therefore invite the appropriate motions to be moved.
I, Alice Carroll, on behalf of the Central Bank of Nigeria, hereby move.
Seconded by Filiko and Murphy.
After all the issues raised have been agreed upon by all stakeholders, the acting managing director of the Bank of Industry, Mr. Waheed Olagunju, during the post-AGM interview with the media, said the bank will continue to work stronger in its bid to transform Nigeria's industrial sector.
The results we're able to achieve is a strong manifestation of the quality of corporate governance and the risk management framework we have in place at the Bank of Industry. We always assume, whenever we're taking any decision, we always assume the worst case scenario when evaluating risks. And then we mitigate those risks. And then on a fortnightly basis, we keep an eye on our books through our ALCO meetings, that's Assets and Liabilities Committee meetings. And then, of course, on a daily basis, all the decisions we take, we ensure that they are in line with global best practices. So it's not surprising at all that the Bank of Industry recorded in 2016 its best performance ever. And we're set to continue to improve because the first quarter of 2017 is already better than the first quarter of 2016. And these are being done in line with the bank's strategic plan that was revised last year and revalidated. We had to revalidate them because of the changes in our environment. And under the plan, we envisage that our risk assets will reach about 1.2 trillion naira by 2019. And we're now embarking on a fund mobilization drive within and outside the country to raise suitable resources that will on-lend to micro, small, medium, and large enterprises across the country. We are hoping that by 2019, at least, MSMEs should account for at least 30% of the Bank of Industry's risk assets. We know that to get there is not only by granting loans. We also need to strengthen our entrepreneurship base in the country. We know that a lot of Nigerians are highly entrepreneurial, but they lack the capacity, they lack the skills. So that's why we're investing a lot of time, resources, and energy on building the capacity of our current and potential entrepreneurs, in collaboration, of course, with our development partners within and outside the country.
Those were the highlights of the Bank of Industry's 57th Annual General Meeting. Coming up next is the handing over and commissioning of the BoI donated state-of-the-art HPLC laboratory equipment to NAFDAC Central Drug Control Laboratory in Yaba, Lagos. The lab instrument commissioning is part of the MOU BoI signed with NAFDAC to fast-track the agency's registration of micro, small and medium enterprises in the food and drug industries. And this is coming just 3 months after the two development partners signed the dotted lines. Here are highlights of the commissioning ceremony, but first, the MOU signing that led to all this. When the Bank of Industry and NAFDAC signed the Memorandum of Understanding in January, the two development partners promised to jointly fast-track the development of food and drug sector of the economy.
For this country's economic recovery to be fast-tracked, both agencies must work hand in hand to support particularly small and medium enterprises. Those who, for instance, produce food must receive NAFDAC certification and endorsement before they can access credit. And the importance of this is that if you don't have NAFDAC numbers, you cannot sell your products. And unless we're able to establish that you can sell your products when they are produced, we will not lend to you. Because it's only when you sell that the cash flow projections on which loan repayment is predicated, that's when the cash flow projections can be actualized or realized. Part of the MOU is that NAFDAC will also allow BoI access their database to know Nigerian companies across the country who have been accredited by NAFDAC. To the extent that they've met NAFDAC requirements, suggests that they are well-managed enterprises. These are the prospects for the partnership between BoI and NAFDAC.
The collaboration that is taking off today with BoI is win-win for all parties. It is business support plus. While BoI is processing the machinery and equipment needs of the regulated industry and at the same time rendering technical support to NAFDAC, NAFDAC is rendering to such industry business support plus and furnishing BoI with information necessary for decision making, and our economy is becoming better. Today, I join my brother in executing the commencement of this very strategic and important MOU for collaboration between NAFDAC and BoI. I sincerely thank you and your management for this wonderful support, which is the beginning of the robust interagency collaboration between NAFDAC and BoI.
Few months after the MOU signing, the two partners lived up to their billings, with BoI donating a state-of-the-art high-performance liquid chromatography HPLC laboratory instrument to NAFDAC's Central Drug Control Lab in Yaba, Lagos. During the commissioning ceremony, the special guest of honor, Honorable Minister of Health, represented by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Mrs. Binta Bello, said the BoI and NAFDAC partnership will boost the health sector and other sectors of the economy.
The partnership we witnessed today, the commission of this machine, the DG and her staff, they have been very excited about this machine, and I'm sure they will utilize it for the benefit of humanity. I want to acknowledge the collaboration between NAFDAC and other stakeholders. There are so many, both public, NGO, and private sector organizations. Effective stakeholder collaboration with NAFDAC, such as donation of the right specification of equipment, as we have witnessed today, is a step in the right direction. And I appeal and call on all partners to come to the assistance of NAFDAC.
This is the beginning of greater ties between both organizations to promote ease of doing business in Nigeria, thereby supporting the vision of Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari for a better Nigeria. The entire management and staff of NAFDAC therefore express our profound gratitude to the management of BoI for the donation of the latest model of 1260 series of Agilent HPLC to NAFDAC to strengthen our regulatory operations.
We give God the glory and thank Him for making it possible today to commission this equipment for the benefit of Nigerians.
We decided to collaborate with NAFDAC to ensure that they're able to serve Nigerian enterprises better. Nigerian enterprises that produce NAFDAC-regulated products, i.e. food or drugs that are sold to the Nigerian public. As far as the Bank of Industry is concerned, we require that our customers should get NAFDAC registration before they can access our facilities. And we noticed that there's usually a time lag. There's usually a long delay before they can get back to us. So while discussing with NAFDAC management, we were told that the turnaround time can be reduced if they acquire this equipment. Because they were telling us that hitherto it takes them like about a whole day to do just 5 products. But now with this equipment, we understand that you can do how many?
200.
About 200 in a day. So that will increase the turnaround time, the service delivery for our current and potential customers. And when that happens, that means they will be able to access credit in terms of enhancing access to credit. And access to credit is one of the measurements used for determining the ease of doing business. You know, because access to credit, if you are not able to access credit, is a challenge in terms of ease of doing business. And the federal government of Nigeria is determined to ensure that Nigeria moves about 20 positions higher on the ladder, because that's not satisfactory where we are now. So, but if we're able to increase access to credit, enhance access to credit, then that will help the ease of doing business in the country. And that's why NAFDAC was able to give the federal government an assurance that with this equipment, they can guarantee a turnaround time of 60 days, which is quite impressive.
That was another great feat by the Bank of Industry, collaborating and supporting a sister agency to uplift MSMEs in the food and drug sector. In the last segment of tonight's program, we will shed more light on the synergy between the Bank of Industry and the Office of the Senior Special Advisor to the President on Foreign Affairs and Diaspora. The partnership is for business development initiatives for Nigerians in diaspora who want to do business in the country. It is designed to create a two-way structure for Nigerians living abroad to have direct access to BoI financial and business development support services, as well as link manufacturers in Nigeria to the growing market for made-in-Nigerian products created by the large numbers of Nigerians living abroad. To get a feel of what I'm talking about, here are highlights of the MOU signing ceremony that took place in Abuja. Happy viewing.
This is going to be a structured channel with the support of the government of Nigeria, BoI being a government-owned development finance institution. So it's certainly part of our mandates to mobilize resources from within and outside the country for the nation's development. We all know that, for instance, a country like India has become one of the centers of ICT in the world today. And this was made possible by Indians who were in Silicon Valley, for instance, who honed their skills in the US and have gone back home to develop the ICT space in India. And in the area of entrepreneurship, that's where the Bank of Industry comes to play. A number of diasporans have become experts in many fields. They want to come back home and invest in the medical sphere, for example, there are a lot of things that can be done in the country. And we also know too that we can feed a lot of our SMEs, or primary producers, into the supply chain of diasporans who operate abroad. In a country like the US, Nigerians who are dual nationals of Nigeria and the US can access the resources from the Overseas Private Investment Corporation, OPIC, and also the US Exim Bank to invest in Nigeria along with the American friends and associates. So those are things we're trying to ensure that we formalize through these MOU.
In her speech, Honorable Abike Dabiri-Erewa commended Bank of Industry for its innovative approach to support entrepreneurs within and outside the country.
Today what we're doing is innovative. What we're doing is going to change the issues about Nigerians in the diaspora who want to come home and be part of what is going on in their country. What we're doing today, for the first time, we want to have a structured, coordinated approach to Nigerians in diaspora who want to be part of investments and ongoing things going on in their country. So, and we want to commend the Bank of Industry for leading the way in this regard. And you know what, like Mr. Lagutu has said, we're talking about huge, talented, experienced, successful Nigerians in the diaspora who really want to do something back home. And we're looking at the big and the small. There are the big ones like in the healthcare, agriculture sector, science and technology, who want to do things back at home. So we're providing a platform and the wherewithal to be able to do it. There are also the small ones. You know, recently you recall that we've had Nigerians being returned back to the country. They left in search of greener pastures. They've been coming back, and you'll be surprised that some of these returnees actually have skills that could be enhanced. With this kind of agreement, we can have a little funding for these Nigerians to, you know, get involved in some SMEs, hairdressing, any different kind of skills that they can develop themselves and be better citizens and contribute to the growth of their country and to themselves. We're happy that we're taking steps that will encourage Nigerians in the diaspora who are willing, who are excited, who are actually anxious about doing things in their country. Just last week, I met a Nigerian in Canada. He's already in Nigeria. He's provided jobs for about 23 Nigerians. It seems small, but with support like this, he can provide jobs for 100 Nigerians. Imagine we had 100 of such. We'll be talking about creating jobs and investment opportunities, and also exporting goods and things out of Nigeria. So for us, we're excited about this. We look forward to a move today that will impact positively on Nigeria, on Nigerians in the diaspora, and on every one of us as a nation. Thank you very much, and we appreciate this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back. You would agree with me that it was actually a week full of activities for the management of the Bank of Industry. As we always say on this program, the Bank of Industry will not relent on its efforts directed at transforming Nigeria's industrial sector. We'll continue to look for more creative ways to encourage and support Nigerian entrepreneurs within and outside the country. If you're a genuine entrepreneur with a good business idea, visit the Bank of Industry office nearest to you and be rest assured that we'll get the financial and business support package that fits your business idea. It's on this note that we'll call it today on today's program. It's good evening and have yourself an enterprising week. I am Hadiza Olaosebikan. Bye for now.